Welcome to the Crazy Wisdom podcast. I've got Ekue Podar here, and we've done 2 episodes before. So if you're curious about this episode after you listen to it, go check out the other ones we've done. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for allowing me on your show.
What have you been learning about crazy technical stuff? Has it, because I don't think we've talked since I got into, like, now I can call myself a real vibe coder, a professional vibe coder. Have you, but we haven't talked since then. I think you're like a developer who knows like how to do crazy things with the developer before the AI. How has it changed your development, if at all?
Uh, so the way like I changed my development, the way I develop is I guess like before I used to like build like a lot of schedulers with like cron jobs and like maybe things that like automate stuff in the browser, and now I'm able to like develop more complicated things on on the like on on the computer, and I also like have like maybe like 15 laptops like hanging around. So I guess like I'm like more productive now. I guess like if I actually try now, I could like probably do what a startup or a company with like 500 people could do by myself with like just like maybe like 15 computers.
So those 15 computers, they're not the Macs. They're not what most people are doing, right? You've got a bunch of PCs or a Windows machine.
I have like two I have like the big version of the Mac, and then I have like a Mac laptop, but then the rest is like Windows computers. But I guess like most people think like you need like sophisticated hardware. Like when Open Cloud came out, everyone rushed to go buy a Mac Mini. But I don't think like you need like that sophisticated of a hardware to run like AI, even like locally, like you could use like the compressed version of like AI models instead of from like Olana to like do stuff on your computer when you're not there. So I've been like doing stuff like that.
So, but you're running local models. Are
Hmm.
you using the API at all?
Um, yeah, I also like use the API. So I guess like I do like use the API. I tend to like just use like Open Router when I
Yeah.
need to like use like a collection of AI models. And I guess like the other ones I use is like mostly like maybe like Anthropic's API, and then like
Yeah.
sometimes like OpenAI API.
Okay, but not the Chinese open source models, but you are running local LLMs on your 15 computers as well at the same time.
Yeah.
But my understanding of local models is they don't really work that well at the moment, though. But you're getting them to do stuff that's actually helpful.
Like I guess like it depends. Like if you're um like I think like Olama has it that like if you're using maybe cloud code on your computer, the sub agents can be like weaker local models. So I think like that's like a really good strategy, because if you just use like the API or the brand models, is gonna like burn a lot of tokens. Like for example, like I was
Uh
trying
huh.
to like do I was
Oh,
trying
interesting.
to I think like there's this website called like Skool. It's basically like I think like it's gonna be like the next Facebook group combined with LinkedIn and Instagram. Because like if you go on Facebook group, there's like a lot. It's kind of like spammy. But then like on LinkedIn, you can't really use automation to connect with a lot of people. And it's sort of like Instagram too, because like you could like stuff and there's like a community there. So I guess I'm using it to like maybe like connect with people and filter people out, because I guess like people could be dishonest on like Facebook groups and like also like LinkedIn. So I use like the
I love it.
I use like the cloud code the cloud on like the Chrome to like to automatically reply to people sometimes on like
Uh-huh.
that website. And the issue with that is like it burns like a lot of a lot of tokens because like for you to like use it, it takes a screenshot of your website or the site every time. So like I'm
Hmm.
like I guess like Michael was telling me that like the other day to like switch to like just use Playwright because like I think like Microsoft owns it. Did they like did they research on it? Playwright's like more efficient than like using like the Claude on the browser.
Hmm. Okay, so and so you're using these local models to basically do all that stuff that would be using too much token for a third-party harness.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so and then you got 15 computers running local models. And are those computers actually like are they powerful computers? Are they used computers? I'm about to start buying old computers and setting up my own servers and like getting like my own distributed system, mostly just to learn about all that stuff. But I'm sure there'll be useful things as well. And so you're basically how good are these computers?
I guess like when I was buying it, the average price will be like $600 to $700. I think like
Interesting.
and it tends to be like I guess almost like gaming computers because like they're kind of like built for this type of
Hmm.
stuff. But if you like a I guess like the best strategy with actually I bought it from like the store. Like I ordered it from Amazon. I think like if I was gonna buy like computers in bulk again for AI, I'll probably like try to buy it on Facebook Marketplace. Like
Yes,
old
exactly.
maybe
Yeah.
old used computers that like or maybe from gaming and just like buy it from like different vendors and stuff.
So, and that's because of the crunch on memory, right? Is it and because you bought all your computers before that happened?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So that's the only reason you would switch up strategies this time is to basically because the market has changed so significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you got your 15 computers. You're running some local models. Have you? Are you getting into CUDA? Are you actually like going and developing on CUDA in order to get these models running? Are you working on VLM, or how are you actually interacting with these models?
Um So I guess like I typically just use like o- maybe like Olama or like Huggy Face
Hmm.
to download
Hmm.
them and then like optimize them for the specific tasks that I'm like working on.
Got it.
But I
Cool.
guess
So
like
you're getting into small models.
yeah, but I guess like VLM it'll probably be like it'll probably be for like a bigger company because I guess like um
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think
Interesting.
I went to like conference for like NVIDIA. It was like online, and they were like showing you like uh, how to actually set up alarms and production. I think like there's something called like KV cache, and
Hmm.
if you're using um, a VLM, that's uh, it's basically trying to like optimize the I think it's called like VK cache, and that's basically like how um, that's how LLMs process information. So like when you send information into the LLM, I think it's called like prefill and then
Hmm.
decode. So prefill is
Hmm.
like uh, prefill. The naming, the way they named it is kind of like awkward, but like one like breaks down your text and then solves the issue, and then like one sends out the output. And I guess like NVIDIA is trying to like optimize the speed of both. So that's why like they always have to like make new faster computers.
And this is why is that for bigger companies? And you don't need that because you said something else. You said you're doing something else. No, you're just fooling with the KV cache. Is that what's going on?
Uh, yeah, I guess like the reason why I guess if you're like a big company like maybe like Pfizer or Merck or some big company, um, like you'll put, and it's like an enterprise company, you probably like have like the cash flow to maybe take
Got it. To
implement
not be efficient.
AI. Yeah, but
But you
I guess
figured out how to make them efficient for your use cases using small models, Hugging Face, different things, and different computers. Oh man, that's such a good idea. Yeah,
yeah, and I guess like it's probably like the same in like maybe every industry or niche. There's like bigger companies that have like a solution that's like standardized and a lot of
yeah.
people use it, but might not be the most efficient. So like you have to like go to like maybe smaller and maybe individuals or like some smaller groups of people to find like the most optimized solution for your problem.
That's so cool. It puts a lot of into perspective of what I've been thinking about recently, which is over the last 2 weeks, I got hit with the Claude. I was totally bought into Claude with everything. I had the Claude code and I had the 4.5 chatbot, and I have my planning agents. And I go from my planning agents to my coding agents, and like the planning agent is just a chatbot, but it has all the context for all my different projects, so I can just have a normal conversation. And then I have the coding agents inside of Claude Code, and then I just work between the two and do a lot of copying and pasting. But all of my prompts are written by the AI.
Hmm.
And so basically, I got hit hard with the recent change to the model. It's just like my whole system is broken because, and I was totally dependent on Claude because I didn't want to do these switching between all these different things. It was too complex given the nature that I'm just a vibe coder who doesn't know what I'm doing in terms of the code. And so like, I'm just like, well, kind of winging it, trusting the thing. And it was working up until about 2 weeks ago. Then it stopped working, and so I'm stuck in this situation of like so now I got to use all these different models. I'm forgetting where I was going with this, but um, it's like something you said about the efficiency. Oh well, yeah, no, yeah, okay, that's it. So I also started to build my own chatbot in the past 2 weeks, and I'm really excited about what it looks like. It's like a really good looking chatbot, basically. That's going to be my new planning agent, and I can start to like build into this my whole skill that I was using, and I'm now not locked into Claude's chatbot, which I was totally locked in. And so it's making me realize that all these guys, the foundational labs are in the same situation as the big companies you mentioned and the SaaS companies, which is just like they're not making it for you. They're not making it for me. They're making it for this abstraction of like a billion people. And by default, they will not do what I want to do. And so why would I ever? And now I have the power to do things that I couldn't do before, which is build the software that I want. And I was like, oh, but they're the foundational models. I can't copy them. I can't reverse engineer their things, but I can reverse engineer the thing we're using, like Riverside. I can reverse engineer all these SaaS tools because that's like easy and stuff like that. But now over the past 2 weeks, I'm like, oh no, I can reverse engineer almost everything except the model. The two things I can't reverse engineer, and this is gonna be good to talk to you about the small models here. I can't reverse engineer the foundational model itself because I don't have $150 million or $500 million,
Hmm.
and I can't fine tune. Um, uh, but I can build a harness. A lot of people are building harnesses, and I suspect that most of the model utility actually comes from the harness itself. So it's like it might like the model itself is already a commodity, and it's like why would I ever build a model? The fine tuning question is interesting. I want to start getting into fine tuning, but something else that's recently made me think a lot about is small models. What do you think about small models?
Um, I think like small models are gonna like um, I guess like it's gonna be like critical for like IoT stuff and also like defense stuff and also like maybe
Hmm.
a lot of companies that like or maybe that don't want to actually send their data to a lot of companies
Yeah.
that don't actually want to send their data to like OpenAI um, or Anthropic will probably be optimizing like local models, um, local models, and like I guess like the way I've been thinking about it, if it's like a company and they have like a server somewhere, they could just download an open model to run like the strongest open source model that they could like fine tune or do anything to. and then instead of like and build their own API around it. So instead of like routing your traffic to OpenAI all the time, you could
Whoa.
just route your you could just write
Your small
route your
model.
yeah or
You
any
build an
model.
API for your small model. It's like it's like an intranet made up of a bunch of different small models for an enterprise. I really like that
Yeah.
idea. Small models. Okay. And my understanding of small model, NVIDIA has so many small models. They released like a bunch of models. So are NVIDIA models the best small models to use?
Um, like I guess like I think like right now the best the best smallest model are probably like the Chinese um like open source models that they optimize to be small. Uh, yeah,
Wow.
I guess yeah because I guess like in the US I don't or
Wow.
yeah in the US is only like maybe OpenAI and Anthropic that's making models and like they're closed source, but with like any technology, um, like any technologies that you develop in the world, you and you patent it or you try to like privatize it, but some other engineer somewhere could reverse engineer in 6 months. So like you might as well go with open source and optimize it the way you want. Like
Man.
I think it has been true for like the last like maybe 1,000 years. Like if someone could see like how your technology works, they could reverse engineer it. It's kind of like how calculus was invented by like two different people that never
At the same
that
time.
like I guess like they didn't really connected, but I guess the version that we use right now it just ended up being popular because like Isaac Newton had a better publicist than like
uh, than Leibniz.
yeah.
That's really interesting because I was thinking about steampunk time. People call that steampunk time, where
Uh,
two individual people around the world both come up with the same idea at the same time, even though they're disconnected. Um, and then I like the point about Isaac Newton has a better publicist, so that became the standard on it. Now, the steampunk time is really interesting because that relates to the Chinese. But well, it is crazy that I reverse engineered. Somebody recently told me that it's not the proper use of the word reverse engineer to say that I reverse engineered Riverside. But I think it semantics because this thing that we're using to record this podcast, I built as a vibe coder. I didn't write one little line of code, and it works. It's working right now. The biggest funny part is that it's a link. It's got a lip sync error. So it's got a lip sync error. So it won't afterwards. I have to do a crazy amount of work. Me and my freelancer have to do a crazy amount of work to get the lips matched to the way the audio is doing it. And that's because it's basically the program's on a server, and then it's going to your web browser. It's going to my web browser, and then there's a bunch of crystals on our both of our machines that both have a clock, an internal clock. I don't understand any of this, but it's like crazy crystal things are happening on both sides of our program. And then matching the times of when we started and everything else like that. It's just a total crazy nightmare depending on network and all these other things, basically. And so what I'm trying to say is that it was pretty hard. I built this web conferencing software within 2 days. I had a working web conferencing software because I used this thing called Daily, which is basically like anybody who wants to build a web conferencing software can use this to do it really easily. It's like a framework or a business that's really useful and helpful. Um, but then I tried to reverse engineer Riverside and I'm still not done. It will probably happen with this. Although this morning I put a bunch of logging and instrumentation and telemetry in so that I can diagnose what's going on. But what I'm trying to say is basically reverse engineering is now really, really easy. If
yeah.
I can do it, it's like if like an engineer like you or many of the other people who we talk with, like it's just going to become easier and easier. What does that mean for IP? Definitely means that it feels like China is going to do a lot of crazy stuff. Like it feels like China is just going to own every part of the stack. And I mean, and I'm like that would have filled me with dread and anxiety and anger like a year ago, but now I'm so fed up with Claude and OpenAI and all these guys in the U.S. government. Like it's just like I'm just so fed up with everything they've done. Like they're just not thinking about it in the way they need to be thinking about it. Although I guess it's understandable, right? Because like they're businesses, and so they have a business and they need to protect. No, they should have gone open source. What do you think? Do you think if Anthropic had started 2 years ago and they had gone open source, that a lot of this would have worked out?
Uh, like like generally like I'm for like open source, but like I kind of understand like what they made the decision they made. For example, like the new Mythos model, right
Hmm.
now is only being used by like the biggest institutions like patch up like I guess like um the bugs and like open source
Yeah, of
software.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I guess like um I recently saw like the NSA is using it, but I guess like a lot of people are um so like basically like a lot of the technologies we use is from like the military industrial complex. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I know like sometimes they do like bad stuff, but then sometimes they do good stuff that like helps humanity. But
Yes.
I guess like they have like the highest concentration of like mathematicians and like physicists and like hackers there, and they're using it to like patch I guess like security vulnerabilities before like they release it in the wild. So I kind of like understand that point, but from like a innovation and ecosystem perspective, I guess I, I don't know if it's like they're afraid of like open source because it commoditizes like SaaS and like ERP type of software. Because like I think like if, like I I think February to March, like $1 trillion worth of value disappeared from like the SaaS market. It was called like the SaaS apocalypse. At the same time, like OpenAI became $1 trillion company, and Anthropic became like a $1 trillion company, and I think like if you ask someone, they have to like say like the value disappear from SaaS and like ERP type of systems to the new AI that can like they'll do anything. So people like starting to like cancel like the subscription for like software that they used to like pay like thousands or maybe if you're an individual hundreds for a month to use like the AI that can like build you like anything. For example, like the recording tool that you there'll be like every reason right now, like before you used to like have to maybe pay Zoom or
Yeah.
some other software to a subscription fee to like be able to be able to for you because like the knowledge or the labor that used to build it was high in price, but like AI is gonna like is decreasing um the labor part of doing like knowledge work to almost zero. So or maybe the price of electricity to so basically now to build any sophisticated software tool, you probably just need your idea and uh, the ability to like use AI to develop the idea for you. And I guess I guess companies like Microsoft or maybe like scared of it. But the way I think about it is just because it's like open source and anyone can like copy it, it doesn't mean like you can't make money from it. Like Linux is open source, is like less buggy than like the Windows
Yeah.
operating system, and like the inventor Linus, like he's like worth like $100 million or something, and like
Hmm.
you know like Terraform, the
Yeah.
same thing. Terraform is
Hmm.
like open source, but like the founder of Terraform, I forgot his name, but like he made like $1 billion
Whoa.
with it. So just because it is like open source and free, it doesn't mean like people won't pay you to install it or like set it up or help them troubleshoot stuff. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's where the developer ecosystem is going. So like everything is free. But it'll be like a lot of things are free, but just because it's free doesn't mean it's less valuable or people won't pay you for it. Like for example, like air is free, but like you can't really live without air. But like cyanide is rare and like poisonous. I would like not want cyanide around me. So that's I guess like the economic part that people like misunderstand about AI. It, it's gonna like commoditize stuff, make knowledge work almost like free, but like people will still pay people to use software that people build or like agents people set up and stuff like that.
Great points. Really like what you said in the beginning, which was uh, the defense industry. Actually, like, what is their interest right now? Their interest is to basically have national security. There's another one which I constantly think about, which is that they also have a bureaucratic administrative imperative to turn every single citizen into a digital slave, not because they are evil, but because that's the bureaucratic incentive, is to make everything legible for the state so that
Mhm,
the state can govern outside of the interest of the people, just like it's the mindset of the state. And there's a
mhm,
book about this called The Legible State. And so like that's the part that I don't like, which is just like these guys they're not doing it because they're evil. They're doing it just because it's like there's a structural incentive to just basically turn every single citizen into a unit, an economic unit that can be tracked in every single way. And then meanwhile, all the people who are in the government are all there's a lot of corrupt people there who are doing things outside of that system, and they'll just continue to do that side. So the real criminals are like totally free and corrupt and everything like that. But that's one part. The other part was the what are the other interests of the department, the defense, and all these guys. The thing that gave us the internet. The internet is this invention from these guys, and it was a pretty cool thing that they did. Like, yeah, the internet's caused a lot of problems, but it's pretty cool. Now we got this AI. Now everybody can code whatever they want. I'm pretty grateful for that. Um, and that was because they were trying to secure the national security of how do we have a distributed network during a nuclear bomb. And it was like, okay, well, that's really cool. And then so there that interest can lead to a lot of evolution. I think that's actually been the theme of all three of our episodes is this strange mixture of warfare and innovation, and like how to kind of like figure out the cool stuff from that. um, but then the open source stuff is really interesting. I need to go do research on Terraform. It reminds me of a tweet by Eric S. Raymond. And Eric, he basically said, now that Mythos is out, now that the models are doing what they're doing, and it can kind of be really intense offense and defense in terms of cybersecurity, now that that's the case, open source makes way, way more sense because of what you said, which is just like it needs to be visible so that it becomes secured. The more visible it is, the more secure it is. And it's something I think about as I'm building all these apps is like, maybe I should be doing some of this open source. I don't want to do all of it open source. And I think the other really interesting thing we could talk about is that me as a vibe coder, nobody knows who I am, which is great for my applications because nobody's trying to like hack me. Nobody's trying to do all those things. They're all, like they've got. I learned how to secure my server against all of the automated stuff, which was really fun to just kind of figure out that that's all happening and stuff like that. But no one's like the North Koreans aren't trying to get to me in order to get to my like wallet and everything like that. But for anyone who has any attention,
mhm.
open source might be actually paradoxically make more sense. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I guess like if you're not like if you're not it makes sense if you're like a small like an individual or like maybe a small group or like maybe a startup to use like open source model more. I guess like um uh, if you look at it globally, like if you talk to startups around the world, like I guess I kind of like do that. They probably use open source model from China more than like
Yeah,
open AI model and like Anthropic model because like I guess like the US is like the spending power of the US
yeah,
consumer, like no one else matches it. Even like in China, no one matches it. So like
Yep.
if you put out a product
Yep.
for like $200 a month, like
Yeah.
like
Interesting.
like how open AI does, maybe you're gonna get like a few people in the US buying it, but like AI is gonna be like a global it's
Yeah.
gonna be like a global technology. So like um it I guess OpenAI and like Anthropic can keep their models closed and expensive for how long they want, but then like when the Chinese model reaches parity with like a Memphis type model, I think like there might be like a big switch from using their models to using open source model because like if you're like a startup in like Africa or like South America, it will make more sense for you to use that because like you're only paying for like the server costs and maybe like the people that are serving you the model might like I guess like charge a little bit for like the model, but that's more cost efficient for you economically speaking than like just saying this is the best model from the US and that's all I'm gonna use.
Really interesting point. While you were talking, I was thinking, why did the foundational models choose to be closed source rather than open source? And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting question. And then I realized, oh no, I've already asked that question so many times. And they're doing it because they have a sci-fi fantasy vision of this technology basically getting out of control, getting conscious, turning into a Terminator. Meanwhile, the closed source companies that all started with that sci-fi fantasy vision are all doing that for the U.S. government. Like they're like
Yeah,
making that happen
yeah,
as a closed source company. So they have this fantasy model, the fantasy thing from starting in the 1990s from the extropians. I've been doing a lot of historical research on the extropians and how the extropians, which was like a blog thing, led to the guys in the 2000 with the less wrong and the effective altruism, and that led into 2015 when OpenAI got started. And so the reason why OpenAI, this open AI, got started was
yeah,
supposed to be open source, but then they're like, no, no, guys, it's too powerful. We can't let this out. And it's like that's the reason why the U.S. is going to lose this war, and it is a war, uh, is because of sci-fi fantasy cult visions, which like because if they had done it closed source, like what like it's going to be open source anyway. I think both of us agree that like where this is headed is going to be open source. If they had done it open source, then they could at least compete with the Chinese models, right?
yeah,
But now because the Chinese models are open source, they're gaining all the benefits. Although there is this strange thing which I haven't figured out, which maybe you can help me figure out, is that the Chinese in the 90s looked at what the US Silicon Valley thing was doing and invited them all to do conferences in China and then 5 years later put up the Great Firewall and also started to use open source to basically create these strange mixtures of the state and a corporation, which all use open source technology. And now they're doing it in the robotics with Risk V. And so it's leading to just like China uses open source. But they are not an open source government. Like they are a closed source government that's like really gnarly, but they're using open source. What do you think?
uh, I guess so like um I guess like the Chinese strategy for AI and robotics is basically um it's probably going to be like state funded, so they're going to probably sponsor like the winner of the technology. And I guess like their strategy right now is oh, open AI and Anthropic are making closed models, but I think like they only really care about like winning the race, even if it might mean like we dump a bunch of open source models on the market and globally um, people use it and like overthrow like the U.S. dominance in AI. But I think like David Sachs from um like the Impact that's what's talking about it. So they're just gonna like dump a lot of cheap open source technology on the global market, like how they used to like maybe I don't know is that like how like between like the 90s and like maybe 2015, they just like make make a lot of like technologies or maybe manufacturing goods and then like just dump it in the market, which crashes like maybe some
Yeah,
countries'
yeah.
um, manufacturing ability. So I think like they're gonna use the same strategy with the U.S. with AI, and
Whoa.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's been a long time coming. They've done it with all the other countries first in this crazy form of economic warfare where it's just like you can't compete with Chinese. Like I've seen it in Brazil, I've seen it in Argentina. Can't compete with the Chinese. So now they're finally
yeah,
going to the United States and are going to basically use this winning strategy that they've had to actually do the same thing with the United States. I guess they've been doing it to the United States the entire time with the cars. The one thing they
yeah,
can't figure out is the airlines. They can't make their own airplanes, but I don't think they're worried about it because they got the electrical train system off the gas and petroleum. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So we got Chinese. Let's go for it. Let's talk about Israel. So let's talk about information age. Let's talk about how basically we have this information age, and I would say the information age started in the 1400s with the Medicis, and the Medicis built this new double entry book accounting system, and
Hmm.
that allowed them to amass huge amounts of wealth. And then that was the first kind of like information age thing. And then you have the industrial age that actually happened like 200 years later, 300 years later. But the industrial age and the information age are really important. But the industrial age was dominant until about 2021, 2022. And that's when we moved into the pure information age. Doesn't mean that
Hmm.
the industrial age is going away, but it does mean that the information age is the name of the game for where the trends are happening. Now,
Hmm.
matching that with some really interesting things I've been discovering about Israel, which is and I only discovered it because I happen to be in a country where it's all happening, which is Argentina. So Israel, the state water company called Mercorot, it's owned by the Israeli government, bought the rights to I think 12 provinces, to the water rights of 12 provinces in Argentina. And these water rights are not, if something goes wrong with the contract, it's not going to happen inside of Argentine courts, which makes sense because Argentina has been a bankrupt country for a long time, and so it's going to be adjudicated in UK. And so they own all the water rights. Most of these water rights are about like information and systems and other things like that. So that was the first detail. I was like, wow, what is going on there? And then recently, Javier Milei went to Israel and he signed the Isaac Accords. And the Isaac Accords are basically, it led me to this other thing that I found out, which is that it's $150 million. If listeners are listening to this, don't take anything I'm saying as fact. Please fact check me and please send me the fact check because I want to understand this. But I believe what I'm about to say is all true. $150 million for Argentina. What does that mean? It means that they gave like conditional guarantees about nation state failure, that if Argentina fails, it's an insurance contract to make sure that Israeli companies don't get harmed by moving into Argentina. So Israel basically created this insurance policy for all the Israeli companies to start coming here and doing business. And then I found out that that's not actually only in Argentina. They've actually been doing this for a really long time. They've done it in Georgia. They've done it in Kenya. They've done it in like 5 other countries. I think India is another one as well, where they're just going to these the same way the Chinese were doing that with the manufacturing. They're doing it with cybersecurity, warfare, defense, all these different things. And so, like, Israel and China are so good at the information age, and the United States is like kind of good. Actually, that's a good
Yeah.
question for you. What do you think is the United States like? Are we losing the information war? Because we got some of it, right? We do some stuff pretty well.
Yeah, I guess like in the information age, so I guess like if you reserve from like the 1400s, um, the biggest army is it had like muscle power with like
Mhm.
tanks, guns,
Yeah.
but in the information age, I think um like every state before try to do it, but like one critical thing like a nation state that like does is like control of information in its own country. Like it
Yeah,
happens
interesting.
in the US and it happens everywhere. Like you could say like the Arab Spring happened because like there was failure in communication between like the ruling class and like the people that they're ruling over. And the same thing is like it is happening but like more extreme and the and and like the AI or the age that we're entering. So it's not gonna be like who has the biggest military anymore. Like like during this war, um,
Mm.
it's more about like asymmetric warfare now. So like
Yeah.
like a drone that costs like $25,000 could blow up a tank that's like worth like 10 like that the U.S. government spent like $10 million building. So it's not about like the army with like the strongest might power. Is more about like the army that can manage information more and basically it does like signal intelligence at a sophisticated rate um now. So I guess like yeah, Israel after Silicon Valley, I don't um I,
Yeah,
maybe
interesting.
they're like neck and neck, but like after Silicon Valley, the other place that a lot of technologies come from is like Israel. Like
Yep.
Israel's like the leading
Yep.
um it is probably like the leading like a country that develops a lot of like cyber technology and like a lot of like warfare technology because I guess like they could because of like the history of the state they kind of need to do it uh, because like I guess like they see everyone around them as as like potentially attacking them
Yep.
so um to prevent that they focus on a lot of like signal intelligence
Yeah.
and the ability to like track the flow of information globally
Signals
and
intelligence. Let's
and they all
like
like they all started like all the way from like World War like from like after World War II. I think like there was an interesting story like so the backbone of every military is logistics. Like if you like study like warfare and history, I think without like logistics, like if there's a failure in logistics, the army fails. So like there's an interesting story that like after World War II, the person that was in charge of like the Nazi logistics system, he I forgot his name, but I think he's like yeah I forgot his name, so don't quote me on it. But he fled to like Argentina, and then like they established like Mossad, their intelligence agency. They like tracked where he was. So like he changed his appearance and stuff. They tracked where he was and like I don't know if it's called kidnapping, but like they went over to Argentina and grabbed him and did like a trial in like Israel. So I guess like if you have to say the country with like the most sophisticated intelligence um and I guess signal intelligence in the world, I would probably say it's Israel. I wouldn't say it's the U.S. But the Israel is probably and China. I guess like I didn't know about like the water story, but I guess water is like a critical infrastructure. So I guess like they might be doing that to be able to like bargain if like something their negotiation with Argentina goes south. They want to be able to like have leverage
oh
in that
yeah.
situation because what like I guess like water and like food supply are like critical resources that everyone needs and if that's like your bargaining power, you could like negotiate like well because like during this war that the Gulf War that's happening right now, like each side is like threatening critical infrastructure, and I don't know, it's probably like a global war crime to target that even during war, but like that's what
Mm,
both sides or like threaten each other with now.
man, okay, that's really good point. That I did not figure it out, and I do think that that's what is going on is negotiating leverage. and they are doing that in a lot of different countries, including the United States, which brings up a whole other rabbit hole we don't need to go into. But the man, it's so crazy. So let's go for the last 10 minutes or so. Let's go into the other side of this coin, which is so Israel, China, United States. It feels like those are the only countries at play. Those are the top three countries in the information. Well, Israel, let's say, I would even say that Israel is number one. So Israel is winning the information age just like so completely. Although they've just lost the soft power game, they're definitely now totally lost the soft power game, and that might actually be even more important in the information age. But we'll have to check back in on that in an hour. I'm sorry, not an hour, in a year. Um, then I would say it's a tie between the United States and China, with China seeming like they're pulling ahead. And then behind both of them is this strange mixture of the European Union, which is like France is doing some interesting stuff. France just got off of Microsoft Windows, which I think is a really good idea for their sovereignty. And they're getting on Linux, which is really cool. They got Mistral. They've got their own nuclear power plants. They've got their own satellites. They've got their own, they do a lot of defense stuff as well. France is separate. The rest of the EU is kind of like going through some crazy stuff right now, so I'm not sure about the rest of them. But the EU as a block is kind of interesting. Poland is doing some really crazy stuff with robotics. But then let's talk about it from the one of my guests talks about the sovereign, the sovereign individual. Why is everybody talking about the sovereign individual? What about the sovereign country? Like a country like Thailand. The fact that Iran can kind of like do what it's doing to the United States right now, and like cause major problems for the United States because of a huge strategic error that the United States did, in my opinion. The so if Iran can do that, what about like countries that aren't so like controversial, like Thailand? Thailand recently kicked out WorldCoin, which is a great sign. So they told them you can't have our biometrics, you can't have our nation's biometrics. Like that feels like a really healthy thing for a country to do, to be like, nope, that's not happening. In the information age, it could shift, right? Like we could end up with a lot of different countries that are pretty small, like El Salvador, or something like that. What do you think about that? What do you think about like the new chessboard that's not going on today, but maybe in like 5 or 10 years?
Um, like that. So like uh, going along with the theme that like maybe from the maybe 1500 to like uh when the information age actually started, the the biggest country was like the dominant player, and like uh yeah, so the biggest army, the biggest company, the biggest community had like economic of skill because they just needed like I guess people to
Yeah.
just to either work or produce families to keep the state going or the community going. But in the information age, smaller players, smaller countries, smaller like individuals will probably like have as much power as like big countries because it's not going to be about like the size of the population if like the AI can give you like infinite free knowledge knowledge worth labor. So yeah, like with Iran, like I guess like throughout like history, the people with like access to like rare resources that like society really needs had like bargaining power. So like the hunter gather age, probably like the best hunter had like a lot of leverage. In the farming age, the people that owned the land had a lot of leverage. And then like in the industrial age, the factory owners. But now it's gonna be like the country like uh, either like rare resources that the world really needs. So like Iran has oil, and oil
Mm-hmm.
without like oil's like probably more critical than like even AI because like without oil we couldn't probably eat because like big shipping containers that move stuff around and like trucks that bring food to the grocery store, they all rely on like gas prices. I know like the US is like oil independent, but the thing oil independents, like the top producers of oil. But the thing is, like oil is like a global commodity. So even if like some refiner in Texas refines a lot of oil, they have to like put it in the commodity market, and they might make more money right now selling it to maybe Indonesia or Thailand than the U.S. because a barrel of oil there might be like 100. They could sell it for 150. So it's automatically gonna like push the price up. So that's why like I think like uh, the state of Georgia right now, I think um like in the US like a dollar, if you buy gas, maybe a dollar to a dollar 50 of it is like gas, like a tax, because the government knows like, oh, it's a really rare commodity, so let's make money off it. But it's gonna be like um and the 21st century is gonna be like you either like have like rarer technology or like rarer like resources that the world really needs. For example, like Qatar, like like I think like I don't know exactly like how many Qataris are in the world. It's like maybe 300,000. The rest of people in Qatar are like foreign nationals that that the natives hired to go do work for them. But think about it, like how is a country that small able to like bring the World Cup? Like the last World Cup was in Qatar. So like how's like a country that small have negotiating power enough to make the world tell the world we want the World Cup here, and the world is like accepting it. And
Yeah,
also like
insane.
if you compare like right now, you can't really compare GDP and like a company's market cap, but like India has like 1 billion 4 people, and but their GDP is like lowered than like the market cap of NVIDIA. NVIDIA has like
Yeah,
30,000 people. So it's not gonna be the size of the institution or
yeah,
the
it's
group
insane.
that's gonna matter in the future. It's gonna be like how advanced in technology and how much rare resources they have that allows them to make g- that we're able to like dominate the global landscape. Like even like Israel, I think it has 7 or 8 million people, and they're able to like negotiate with the U.S. because like I don't exactly know the location in Israel, but like they have like a Silicon Valley there that like
Yeah.
most people in the US don't know. And I would say like in spaces like cyber security and maybe even AI, you're probably like better at those things than like the American companies. And like their size, it doesn't make a difference.
So crazy. You brought up something that we'll have to talk on the next one about, which is the fact that NVIDIA has more power per capita than India as a country. I think is really important for, we were talking about the individual, the sovereign nations, but sovereign corporations are going to be an interesting chaos agent in the future. But that's all the time we got for today. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Anything you're doing right now that you want people to know about?
Uh, I guess like most of the things I'm doing, I think like I post like the technology stuff that I'm working on like X, and then also like LinkedIn. So if like anyone's interested, they could like check out my LinkedIn or X. I'll be
Cool.
posting there.
And you can find his name, Ekue Podar. It's a pretty unique name. So go find it on Twitter and LinkedIn. Thank you so much.